Good morning, everybody. No, it's not Monday. You've not lost some days. It's Thursday. I'm Melissa Nielsen with Waldorf Essentials, and today we're going to talk about planning for peace. And you might be thinking, if you're not one of our regulars, you might be like, what the heck is that? So, planning for peace is our homeschool planning journal, and I'm going to tell you, it is the last planner you'll ever have to buy. I'm guaranteeing it. Not as in, oh, you can have your money back, that kind of guarantee, but I'm telling you, if you do it my way, you will never have to do another planning journal again. Ever. So we're going to talk about why my way. We're going to talk about how it came about. And we're going to do some prizes for the first few people that buy. So, first of all, how it came about. Planning for Peace, the things that I do, that I teach in Planning for Peace, are the things that I've been doing like since the beginning of my journey. Because there's enough sanguine in me that I have, so there's enough sanguine in me that I love to plan, but there's enough choleric in me that I'm like, nope, it has to be a system. Systems is what does it. Because without the system, then it unravels. So a long time ago, when I started this journey, after a couple of years of feeling very not together, and wanting more out of my Waldorf homeschooling experience. Now I'm talking like 100 years ago when the internet was a baby, and when the internet was a baby, and we had a Yahoo group. That was it. There was not like Facebook. There was not all of the resources that y'all have now. So I had to come up with it on my own. And it stands the test of time. When I have Waldorf teachers that see how I do it, they're like, what? That's how we do it. That's how we plan. That's how and you came up with it on your own. So what we are teaching are foundational pieces that will make your homeschool more peaceful. And so if you are somebody who's already maybe one of our Thinking, Feeling, Willing members, or if you bought Planning for Peace in the past, but you didn't actually use it, you know what I'm talking about. But here's the deal. You have to do what I say or it doesn't work for you. If you go, oh, I'm just going to buy it and I'm going to cram it in August. Yeah, you can do that and it still works. However, you won't get the fullness of it. And you will not get the joy that comes from doing it this way. So why Planning for Peace? Why is it called that? So I had a stroke 5 years ago. And since then, I'm all about peace. Like all about it, right, dear? It's like, yep. That is like my number one. Everybody, and that is not what my temperament is usually about. My temperament is usually about like standing for justice. And I do still stand for justice quite often. But my number one thing in my life is I need to have peace, and I want to bring peace to others. I want to have other families have the same amount of peace or more than I am providing to my own. And that's because life's too short to be pissed off.
Thadra asks, is this for Thinking, Feeling, Willing members? Are we meeting every Thursday for Thinking, Feeling, Willing?
No. So I'm going to actually go through that, Thadra. I will go through and talk about all of that. If you are joining us and you are Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, you are welcome to stay and give other people your testimony of like how awesome the planner is, or you're welcome to swipe away. Don't go back to bed. Go get started on your day. If you are not a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, or you've never used Planning for Peace before, this is the place for you, because we're going to talk about the entire thing. So, and all of the calls will not be on Thursday morning at 6 a.m. I actually have not decided when all the calls will be yet, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Anyways, why Planning for Peace? Why did we call it that? Like I said, I kind of feel like a peace missionary, and I watch families, and I've been teaching planning for years, But there were elements of it that I kind of took for granted. I took for granted that everybody did these things, even though I didn't write about them. Everybody did this sort of evaluation. Everybody sort of did this like, okay, well, this is what I need and this is where I'm going. And what I found time and time and time again in my coaching practice is that nobody's doing those things. And so they were pieces that I developed over time. And in 2017, we put together the first Planning for Peace journal. Last year we improved it, and this year we improved it again. I don't see us improving it again. However, stranger things have happened. People give me recommendations all the time and I go, oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll do that. And so when I put things together this year, if you have last year's edition, you're not missing a whole ton. You are welcome to just use last year's edition and plan along with us. Another question?
Thadra asks, what is the best version of the Thinking, Feeling, Willing planner for one child entering grade 1?
Okay, we'll talk about that too. Just hang tight. We're going to go through all of the versions. So what I want to do is start out with this idea that peace begins with you. And so, like I said, I had a stroke 5 years ago. With that, I realized that, and I always knew this because I always have felt like mom drives the boat. You're the one who's at home with them. You're the one who drives the boat. But once I decided, no, peace has to be like my mission, everything changed around me. Everything changed around me. The way I taught changed. The way I teach or I coach changed. The way I approached everybody around me changed. I dug deeper into temperament and began to understand more and began to really live more of what I believed this world needs. And so in this space of homeschooling, especially homeschooling with Waldorf, we have kind of this mammoth responsibility. And it's a responsibility that some of us take really, just take on, and some of us are like, eh. So what I'm hoping that you all do is take it on, because, especially if you're telling everybody, oh, I'm a teacher. Listen, ladies, teachers plan. They don't just wake up and walk in the classroom and hope that it's all going to be there. So I want you to ask yourself, sort of as we're going through this today, am I planning the way I would hope somebody would plan for my child if they were in their classroom? And if you're not, that should be a wake-up call for you to be ready to make some changes in how you plan. If you are not meeting your children every day, sorry, I have allergies, I'm all stuffed up. If you are not meeting your children every day the way you want somebody else to meet your children or better, then it's time to make some changes. And this is a method that will be a game changer. If you're a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, or you've been considering Thinking, Feeling, Willing and didn't jump on, you're like, maybe I should do it, you should message me, either DM me or PM me, and we can, so we're just closing things up, we can get you in there. The reason being, a lot of the pieces that you need are in Thinking, Feeling, Willing. If you are a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member already, this is Mom Lesson 6. All of the versions are there in Mom Lesson 6. So you might be wondering, versions, why do I need different versions? So we all have different sized families. And I'm going to show you what we have in the versions first, and then we're going to talk about what's actually in it in the process. And it's a process that starts now. I often start in April because it gives us a month off, but we're running behind this year. So we're starting in May. No months off. So it's 5 months. It goes May, June, July, August, and the last month is September, and we evaluate at your first month at the end of September. Okay, so we have, first of all, we have a large that's 8.5 by 11 and a small. So this is 8.5 by 11 and this is a small. So this shows you the size difference. If you might be thinking, oh, I need the large one, I can see that. However, it's a lot of blank paper, ladies. It's a lot. I know we have people that really prefer the large one, but I don't. I thought last year when I got them, I was like, ooh, large. No, I don't. We have digital, we have digital that is in our store. And Kelly or Eric will drop the link in on on Facebook. And for those of you who are on Instagram, I totally forgot to put it in my link tree. I will put it up there when I'm done. So come on back later and you can look for it then. What we've done is you can buy the digital in our store, or you can buy the hard copy from our publisher. I think that there's benefits to both ways. If you buy the digital, you can just pop it in a binder, and you have it today, and you're done. We have some of our members that are still waiting on it because I was late in getting them. So if you are a member and you're still waiting for your hard copy, they're coming, I promise, they're coming. We're almost caught up, we had a lot because we were holding orders. So we had a lot that we were waiting on until the new versions came out. So what are the versions and what are the differences in them? So let me grab them here. So we have a version that is for kindergarten only. Kindergartens only. So this is early childhood and kindergarten. And in that, the focuses of the planning pages are circle time and sort of planning your kindergarten year. And so, if you use our curriculum, you might be thinking, why do I need to do all of this? Because it's really well planned out. I still recommend you do this because this gets you really familiar with all of the content. And that's what you need to be as a teacher. You need to be like liquid familiar with all the content. So this prompts you to do all of that. So we have a kindergarten version. We have a mixed ages version, which is one kindergartner and one child in the grades. And then we have a version that is only, I'm dropping things, hold on, is only children in the grades. And that one is quite a bit bigger. This is mine. I've already started making it pretty, and I'll talk to you guys about that in a minute. It's pretty thick. And then we have, say you have a child or two children in the grades and a kindergartner. We also have this +1, which is just the planning pages. It's none of the front end stuff. We'll talk about the front end stuff here in a minute. So we have several different versions because I want to be able to meet you each where you are. So if you're buying the digital, you get all of the versions. So you might only have a kindergartner this year, but next year you have first grader. When you buy Planning for Peace, you get all of the versions digitally for the same price as you would get one hard copy. So I want you to really think about what you need. And if you have questions, you're welcome to ask. So if you've only got one child in the grades, I would suggest getting the mixed ages because you need the front end. You need the front end, and I'm going to talk about the front end here. This is what makes this journal, this planning journal, so amazing. I take you through all of the reflection pieces that you need. Now, I've had moms go, your journal's great, but I hate doing all that reflection. Here's the deal. If you do it my way, I promise you will have amazing changes to your homeschool. But you got to do it my way. You have to actually do the steps because the transformation comes like in the doing. Action breeds clarity. So if you're trying to figure out your children and you spent all year going, I don't even know what the heck is going on because I can't figure out why they're acting the way they are, you've got to step back and you have to start at the beginning. You have to start at the beginning. A Waldorf teacher in the classroom is trained to meditate on all of their children. They are trained to do the inner work. I am training you to do the same. You have to start there. If you're not willing to look within, no wonder your lessons are a mess. No wonder you feel all crazy because you've got to be able to look within. You've got to be able to take the time to step back and really look at the big picture and then take it all the way down to the parts, from the whole down to the parts. Because the whole might look pretty and full of play silks, but the parts might be all jacked up. So we have to go look at the whole thing. So I did this, put together this journal for this purpose. So we start, please interrupt me if you need anything over there.
We're good right now.
Okay. So we have this broken down into months. Each month you do something different. So the first month You evaluate what is. So meaning you're evaluating how this school year is ending, because that's important. We homeschool. Most of us don't do grades. We kind of have in the back of our head how Johnny did in math and how he was doing in writing, all of that. But we evaluate what is. We evaluate where they are right now, which is May. So a lot of people are finishing up their school year. Some of us, me included, are going to go into the summer a bit because we've had a little extra fun this year. So you're evaluating what is. So when I sit down to evaluate, I'm evaluating myself, my children. So you're evaluating what is. The first piece is all evaluating yourself. All evaluating yourself. You are asking yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing with rhythm, your personal rhythm and your family rhythm? How are you with holding the space? How are you with planning this year? You're looking at, and I'm telling you, it doesn't do you any good to lie about it. You should write, like nobody's going to grade this. You should write it all out, the good, the bad, the ugly. How are you with main lesson planning? How are you with the arts? How are you with music? How are you with foreign language? All of those pieces. How are you with handwork? Write it all down. You write it all down so that you have an accurate place to start. If you don't write it all down, then things are going to surprise you. And you're going to be thinking, okay, why didn't I know that I needed that? Yes.
Dina says, I bought Planning for Peace during the winter time, the special you gave out, would all versions still be included with that?
Are you a Thinking Feeling Willing member?
Dina rocks.
I was thinking she is.
I could ask her.
Dina, if you're a Thinking Feeling Willing member, they're all in Mom Lesson 6, all the new ones. If you are not, if you purchased it in years past, there are no fundamental changes. They were all just tweaks. So you are fine with the versions you had before. You're fine with them. If you've got the digital, you're fine with them. So just use that. But use it. Use it. Crack it open today. If you've got it and we're talking right now, use it. Crack it open. Get busy. Now is the time. Now. Not next week. Not in July. For hell's sake. Oops, I swore. Those of you who have it and you message me in July and say, I haven't been paying attention. Do you know in the back of my head, I'm like, come on. There's zero reason. Zero. Now I'm yelling.
You get really fired up about
I do. I do, because here's the reason why I get fired up about planning. The reason why I get fired up about planning is because the ones who don't plan are the ones who are freaking out in November. Do you like freaking out? I don't like freaking out. Remember I said I was a peace missionary. May not sound like it now. But I get really fired up about planning because it is so important. If you are going to walk around and tell everybody that you're a teacher, act it. Do it. It's time. It's time for you to get serious about this. Because guess what? They're just going to get bigger. Their lessons are just going to get more involved. It's just going to get more detailed. And if you don't start planning now, when they're in first grade, when they're in fifth grade, you can be like, where did I lose things? Why did we miss Norse Smiths? Why did we? Because when you don't make a plan, then you're planning to fail. You're planning to struggle when you don't take the time. And I'm not saying everybody has to be like this detailed planner like me, but you have to do these steps if you want successful lessons. These are the steps. We spent all this time in Waldorf, like trying to figure out the perfect thing for this age and trying to figure out the perfect toys and trying to make sure we had the right curriculum. It doesn't matter if you use my curriculum or not for this. I have lots of people who use Planning for Peace and they don't use Waldorf Essentials. If you're taking the time and you're spending the money to buy the perfect curriculum, I'm going to tell you a secret. Ready? There is no perfect curriculum. It's all about you. It's all about you and what you bring to it. So if you've been curriculum hopping because you can't figure out where's the right one and what's the sweet spot and which one is going to make me not have to plan so much, it's not happening. Sorry, my nose is all stuffed up. Anything else over there as I'm yelling?
Not right now.
Promise I'm not yelling. I'm only yelling because I love y'all. Because I am super committed to this method. And I know that when you're committed to this method, you have to do things differently. You have to be willing to look at things that you're not willing to look at otherwise. So those first few pages is all about knowing yourself. And for those of you who don't have your hard copies yet, because you've ordered through me and you don't have your hard copies yet, or if you ordered through the publisher today and you don't have them, if you order through the publisher, send me a copy of your receipt and I will hook you up with everything you need for the back end, because this is a 2-part system. So you need this, but you're also going to want to be part of the email list, and you're going to want to be part of the Not Facebook group that we have, and you're going to want all the old videos, you're going to want all of the starting late stuff, you're going to want all of that for going to the future. So what I'm saying to you is if you purchase the hard copy from the publisher, message me. If you purchased in years past and you, 2017, 2018, and you want to make sure you're in on the new calls, log in, go to the page that has the journals on it, because you already purchased. Go to our waldorfessentials.com site, log in, and there's already a link there for the new support group, and there's already a link there for the new email list. And the first emails will go out next Monday, and that will give you the first month. Last year I planned them all out. It was not good for me. I felt like I had to change things too often. So I will plan out a month at a time when the calls are. There's usually 2 calls a month. And so, and in that, then you also have support group. So you can ask questions in the support group. And I'll put the topics in the support group so we can break it down per month. So we have all the month one place and all of, so you're welcome to ask me questions about that. But the support group is not on Facebook. We will not be putting any messages on Facebook, with the exception of, here's where you can buy it. Because we have so many people who don't want Facebook, and we want to make sure that we keep all the questions about planning in the group. Yes.
Thadra, how many hours per week do you dedicate to planning for one child, grade 1? I work 30 plus hours per week, early mornings and evenings. I am an English teacher, but do not do any handwork, music, or art. I'm starting fresh with all this. Can you offer me up a good planning guideline for time commitment? Thank you.
So each month is going to be a little bit different. Because we break it up, you'll be able to sort of pace yourself. And what I would say is, if you're coming to it and you're somebody like Thadra, so sorry, dear. So sorry. I talked to you on the phone and usually it sticks. It's not sticking. What I would say is start learning to knit now. Just add that into your, oh, okay, I'm going to do that. It's not, I promise it's not rocket science. If you have friends that knit, sit down with a friend. Otherwise, you are thinking, feeling, willing member, hop over to Mom Lesson 10 and look at our videos. And just get started with those videos and get started with knitting. If you can get started with knitting, that will help you. That would be just one less thing that you have to worry about. We are going to go through skills. So I can't give you an exact, these are how many hours you need to spend per week. As you dive in and go through figuring out what it is that you need, that's going to determine then, how many hours you'll need. What I would say is, when it comes to the arts, painting, modeling, and drawing or coloring with black crayons, do not feel like you have to do them all at once. So usually I suggest that new moms, and this is good for first graders too, because you don't want to overwhelm them with teaching them all of those things at once. They do that in the school setting, but it's a lot different. It's in block situations, and so they have a teacher that's just for that. You're it. So I suggest you do one at a time. So if you know nothing, maybe you're taking on block crayon drawing, or maybe you're taking on modeling, and you spend the first month or 2 teaching just that, but you got to learn it yourself first. So then after you've learned it and you're teaching it, then your job is to learn the next thing. Get good at that. After you spent 2 months teaching it, then bring in the new thing, that kind of thing. Rotate it through.
Phaedra asked, says, no knitting friends. Can I start with Mom Lesson 10 rather than going in order?
Oh, absolutely. Don't go in order. Don't go in order. Watch the getting started videos. Don't go in order.
So I've done just a little bit of finger knitting, so I'll pick that back up and make that my focus.
Yeah, I would. I would don't go in order. In fact, join us tomorrow for office hours, Thedra, and we can give you a specific plan. I think office hours tomorrow at 11. I think they're at 11 tomorrow.
And she says, such helpful info. We have all this stuff for 2 years, but I've never directly taught her block crayon and drawing, etc.
Well, I think you'll love it. I do. And I know it's like, I might be scaring some people and be like, oh crap, I got so much to do. But if you do it my way, like really, do it my way, you will not be so stressed. I really, when I look at our journal, when I look at the way it's laid out and the way I laid it out for the months, like the most overwhelmed phlegmatic could get it and it wouldn't be a big deal because we break it all up. We don't give it to you all at once. When you sit down to plan, you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta plan out the blocks and then I gotta plan out the days and we take you step by step. So stay with us. Buy the journal, stay with us. Stay with us. Sign up for the email updates, then check your email. Sign up for the updates, come to the community, stay with us. Because I promise you, if you do, it will be life-changing. Read the reviews on our landing page. Those are from real people that have used our work. There was one that I got one just recently that I added to the landing page, and she said that they did a house remodel and their whole life was all crazy last year. But because she did Planning for Peace last year, they didn't skip a beat with school. And that's really what I want. You know, when I had my stroke, even though we didn't have Planning for Peace yet, I've always planned this way. It was easy for people to step in.
Do I have access to the digital version now so I can look before the paper copy comes?
Yes, if you are thinking of feeling willing, member, it's in Mom Lesson 6. Mom Lesson 6 has all of the versions. Okay, so you're going to spend this time knowing yourself, and you're going to take this time with, there's a little bits on temperament in here. This is not the totality of temperament. This is a jumping off point. So if you are a thinking, feeling, willing member and you get started through here and you're still trying to sort out your temperament, you might want to hop over to Mom Lesson 4 and think about that a little bit too. There's reflections in here. This is stuff that I added. I added the piece on temperament and I added some reflection on temperament this year. Like I said, foundationally, it's all the same. So let's see. Then we have some pieces, more evaluation on sort of like how you're feeling with confidence. If your confidence is in the toilet, this whole piece is meant to help you bring it up. So we go through confidence, where confidence comes from. Then we go through rhythm. There's a place to keep track of your actual rhythm. You might ask me, okay, should I do that now or should I do that in the fall? Do it now. Do it now. It's all part of month 1. Because here's the deal. This is what I know. Your habits aren't going to change between now and the fall. They're going to be the same. Even if you're like, oh, but I have all this crazy in my life right now, and it's going to be so much better in the fall. Don't say that to yourself. You consistently show up the same. So how you are handling rhythm now, even if you're in the crazy, is probably also how you're handling rhythm when you're not in the crazy. So do the actual rhythm chart now. Don't wait. We talk about your strengths, things that you might be afraid to cover within the curriculum. You know, no matter how learned we get, sometimes there are things that we're like, I'm not so comfortable covering that. So we go through that. And I talk in the group about that extensively. So if there are pieces of the curriculum that you're like, I'm not sure I'm feeling that, then we can talk about that for sure. We go through setting goals and setting goals for every area of your life. And then, first we do a brainstorm and then we start to set the goals. We pick 3 from your brainstorm to actually move forward with. And this is what's beautiful. You want to keep this every year. So I have the last 2 years on my shelf. Well, I'm still using one of them, but you want to keep them every year because it's nice to be able to pull off one from a year ago, 2 years ago, and see how you have changed. See how much better you're getting at holding the space, at rhythm, at all, at your main lessons, because the idea is that you do the work. And so you are often much better off than you think you are. So that's where the evaluation comes in and in being honest about it, because then you can see how you've changed as years have gone on. You can also, it serves to be a great record if you have to keep track for anybody, some legal entity, an ex-partner, a current partner. It serves as a great way to keep track of, this is what we did. Because there's also like places in here where you can check off we did it. So that it's not just a plan. You actually have some accountability for yourself. Okay, so we go through setting goals. We go through, this is something we added this year. And for those of you who don't have it, I'm happy to give you this page. It's on setting a family council and having a family council every week. We talk about more rhythm. You can put your pretty rhythm charts in here. There's several rhythm charts, there's 4. So a lot of families have rhythm that changes per season. Ours is a little bit. We tend to spend more time away from home when it's tourist season in San Diego because it's really crowded here. So we, our rhythm changes just a little bit. We spend more time away. We go through meal planning. For those of you who are like struggling with meal planning, there are 4 meal plans in here. Again, one for each season. You can use them however you want, but I find that having a set menu with maybe it's not set like tomato soup, but it's just set as soup. So then you can alter that every week as needed. We do a mission statement. I think it's super important to have a mission statement as a family, and that's month 1. Month 1 is all evaluation. Month 2. You are understanding the stages of childhood, evaluating your kids, full year planning, which is just like the overview, and you go deeper in your family mission statement. So we make it sequential. So you start something one month, it gets time to go to sleep, and you come back to it after you've had some time to ponder and have it steep. So we go through the 6-year change, stages of childhood, sort of what to expect. Then we do, like I said, the evaluations. So this will be for month 2. So by the time you sit down to do this for month 2, it will be June. It will be next month. So you just go through and you look at sort of where are you this year? And if you've got a child that's been in the early years, they've gone through an incredible amount of growth and change in the last year. So write that all down. Often we think things are going to hell in a handbasket, but then when we write it down, we go, oh wait, we're doing better than we think we are. And the same is true for older children. If you are beating yourself up because you didn't get to Norse Miss last year, but you got everything else done and you had a baby and you moved across the country, well, that might be all right. You might be able to just hand your child a book about Norse Miss to read this summer. It's okay. But what's great is when you do the evaluation, you can see the good and the bad. Make sure you also put the good in. If you're so focused on the bad, you are never going to feel good about this process. If you find yourself only focusing on the bad, I'm going to suggest you go back and you work on your temperament. Because as you balance, doesn't matter if it's generally the phlegmatics and the melancholies that tend to look at the bad more than the good. But if you are always looking at the bad, then that's your key that, hey, maybe I need to balance a little bit more. So that's for yourself, because you don't want to hand that off to your children. Then we do like overall full year planning. So this is like, when I do this, and I used to do it, I learned years ago through the fabulous Barbara Dewey, years and years ago, 100 years ago. No, like almost 20 years ago. She had us take a piece of paper, and I used to teach this, and I still teach it in some of my videos. Fold it, big piece of paper, like painting paper. Fold it so that you've got a square for each month. Well, we sort of go through that and do that instead this way. And in those squares, you're writing down anything that will interfere with school. So each square is a month. In this case, each square is a month. And you're writing down anything that will interfere with school. Birthdays, because we like to make birthdays big here. Anniversaries, vacations that are coming. If you observe the moons, put the moons in there. If you like we go to the tide pools because we live so close to the beach. So I have a tidal calendar. I write the low tides on the side. If you have older children and younger children, how they mix, you want to put all of those big things in here. Because then when you're going to the next step of laying out your blocks and laying out your year, You don't schedule things accidentally when you have other things going on. It gives you that space to really be able to plan effectively. Did you have something over there?
Heather Fraser says, I have to get to my lesson with the kids. Looking forward to my hard copy in the mail. Thank you so much for all this help with focus.
You are welcome. You are welcome. She's a member. So. Okay, so you spend that second month, you're doing that overall planning. Then after that, I also like to write in these squares. I like to write, I'll put the child's name, and I color code everything, y'all. I love Micron pens. They come in a million colors. I have a Micron pen for each child, so I know who I'm talking about. I might do the whole family in black, and then I'll do Super Sam in orange because that's his color, and I'll do Soraya in pink because that's her color. And what I'll do is I'll put what blocks, just the name of the block in here as well. And by looking at it with everything else that's going on in that month, it allows me then to realize, oh wait, we can't spend 4 weeks on Northsmiths because we are going to spend a week on birthdays. So I need to spend 3 weeks on Northsmiths. So it gives you sort of this beginning overview. And then we get deeper on the family mission statement in month 2. And that's all for month 2. Month 3, we talk about partners. We talk about the skills that you need. So month 3 would be July. We talk about our music and foreign language goals. And we get into block planning and your festival planning. So festival planning is nice because often we forget to, oh, wait a minute, there's a festival next week. What the heck am I going to do? So at least if you lay it out, then you know it's coming and you're putting it on that big overall plan. So I stick all the festivals in there. All the holidays we're doing everything so that I know that when I sit down to do this next piece, this whole down to each part, that I am not missing anything. So we talk about partners in here, how important it is. I also talk about if you're single. I have a whole section on single and strong. I used to be a single mom, so I understand completely what it means to do it alone. Then we sort of start with the skills plan. So I suggest you come up with 5 skills that you want to make sure that you have, and they might be having my rhythm in order. I mean, it's okay that they're super basic and they're not like, I want to learn all of German and I want to learn, they don't have to be like these major skills, but they do need to be something so that you have something to work towards and you're putting some time towards that each week. And in that case, so Phaedra, because I'm just going to answer her question, anybody else who has the same question, when I am trying to work on a new skill or brush up, because I'm continually brushing up, when I had my stroke, I lost everything when it came to painting, not so much because that's watercolor and it's fairly easy but I had to relearn how to blend block crayons. I had to relearn the flute. I have been trying to relearn the flute every year for 5 years and it's still a struggle for me. So it is always on my skills list, always. So one thing to remember is that it's something you should just spend a little bit of time every week doing. And for me, when I go through the month of July, I try to spend an hour a week working on the flute, even if it's 10 minutes at a time. Or when I've been working on my block crayon drawings, I might spend because I get up before my kids, might spend one morning a week just working on block crayon drawings. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that's important because you're going to be doing some prop drawings, but getting comfortable with those skills will help you with the next portion. So each month builds on the next month. Okay, so we've got our space for goals for music and foreign language. Handwork projects. I like to plan all my handwork projects out or at least have a loose plan for what it is that we're doing because if you just say I'm going to do handwork, what tends to happen is y'all knit a washcloth for a year. You don't want to do that. So what I do is I like for my kids to give their handwork projects as gifts because then it gives them like a deadline. Like, oh, grandma's birthday's next month. We have to get this done in a month. And they're looking forward to it as well because they know that they have a hand in giving a gift to somebody that they love. Or we've done hats for, newborn babies, or, whatever it is, washcloths for hygiene kits, that kind of thing. Whatever it is, you have an end to it, a beginning and an end. So don't neglect to plan out those handwork projects. They don't have to be rocket science. They can just be simple. But when you have a beginning and an end to something, then you are continually working towards it. And it gives you a reason to make sure you're doing handwork every day, or at least 3 times a week is what I would say. Okay, so then there are plenty of places in here for you guys to take your own notes. Then we look at the block plan. So the block plan is the overall plan for the block. So again, I'm just going to use Norse Miss as an example. You would put your child's name, the time frame that you want to teach it. So remember, you go back to that big overall plan, and you can look at, okay, well, this is the time frame. I'm going to do it in February. And if you're going to do 2 blocks of it, I would put both dates on here. Then you're going to write the block theme, Norse Miss, and you're going to write all the topics and the concepts that you're trying to cover. So within that, you're also, it's not just that you're learning Norse Miss, you're also furthering writing skills, furthering drawing skills. So you're wanting to make sure that you put all of that in there. Any field trips that you could go on. Maybe you live in a place where, where's that Kon-Tiki exhibit?
The Kon-Tiki exhibit?
Yeah, isn't there?
That's in Norway.
No, well, maybe you live in Norway. Stranger things have happened. I had a client once that lived in Greece. So when she's like, okay, so in 4th grade, I'm going to study Greece for local history. What am I studying next year for Greek history? I was like, well, we'll just have to focus on mythology next year. So, maybe you live in Norway, or maybe you're going on a fabulous trip. But look at what field trips you can put in there. If you're doing family travel, we like to travel as a family. And so I'm always trying to think of where we're going, and is there something that we could do that is lesson block related? And so can I put that lesson block around the time that we're going on that trip? There's block notes in here, book lists that you might want to. So this is just like your overall. This is your overall plan. And so when you're starting to fill it out in month 3, which is August, nope, it's July, lying to you, sorry, because this is month 3. When you're starting to fill it out, this is when you go, okay, I need to brush up on my, Civil War. I need to brush up on, what European history. I need to brush up. And if it's something that you feel like, oh crap, I don't remember this from school, and you're going to have to dive deep, read what we have in the curriculum first, because you're doing that in the very beginning. You're reading that curriculum cover to cover. And when I say cover to cover, I mean from the title page to the end page. Don't skip around. If you are really stressing because you don't remember covering something in school, how are you going to do it justice? This is the time as you're laying out these blocks and you're doing research on what books and what websites to use. That's your chance to go, okay, maybe I need to find a really good documentary on this. And you sit and watch the documentary. I love documentaries because for me, what I do is I'll watch the documentary, and it's not necessarily because I'm going to have my child watch it. It's for me. It will spark things within you. So that as you watch the documentary, you're going to be taking notes, and you might be thinking, okay, well, I want to know more about this, and I want to know more about that. So as you're taking notes, then you can hop on the internet and you can do some more research. You can go to the library and grab a book on it. Spend your time wisely when it comes to learning what you need to know about the blocks, and be thorough. You remember, you're not teaching a college course, but you definitely want to give them enough meat that they feel like they understand the topic. So, okay, so block plan, back to block plan. So there are plenty of pages in here for block plan. And then this, in month 3, you're also working on your festival plans. Let's see, where are they? And those, when it comes, I put festival dates in here, general festival dates. I would say if you're new to Waldorf and you don't have a group that you're celebrating festivals with, I would say pick 2 that seem really, really cool to you. Do not try to do every single festival. Pick 2, maybe 3 tops, because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. So you want to make sure that you are, feeling really confident about them. And then, like I said, if you are brand new and you've just got 2 or 3, then it's easy to grab some books at the library on those 2 or 3 festivals and really then be able to dive in. You can, spend 10 minutes, set your timer when you go on Pinterest and look at things that pertain to that festival. Don't go down the deep rabbit hole. Just 10 minutes. Time block your time online. It helps. Okay, and then that is all for month 3. Month 4 then, which is August, is going to be some deeper planning. So I've got the mixed ages one here. So this has got circle time plans in it. Don't have that for the others. You're going to take the first block plan that we made, and then you're going to break it down into 4 weeks. And when you break it down into 4 weeks, then you can take that material and divide it up. And it's a lot easier to, to divide up that material and not feel like it's so overwhelming. Once you've broken it down then into 4 weeks, and some of your blocks, like a block usually goes from 2 to sometimes 8 weeks. I don't like to go usually beyond that. And keep in mind, in a school setting, they might say 6 weeks tops because they're meeting 5 days a week. I take every 10th day off. So we have plenty of breaks. So if we're tackling something for 8 weeks, it's not a big deal. So we've had plenty of breaks in there. If you are teaching grade 1, it's just going to look like 2 or 3 blocks because you've got introducing the letters. This is a really long block. And then you've got, math, which are shorter blocks. Yes.
Amy Foot says, will you do a live video or something specific to kindergarten planning? I'm first year and so nervous about it. I think I remember hearing that planning was slightly different than the grades.
Yes. So for the, I will. In fact, would you write me a note, my dear, so I don't forget? Just send me a PM really quick so I don't forget. I will make sure that when we plan the first calls, that we do ones that are specific, extra calls that are specific to the grades and specific to kindergarten. So we'll do, and I did this last year too. So last year we did a middle school and high school planning one. We will absolutely do a kindergarten planning one, 1st through 4th planning one, 5th and 6th planning one, middle school, high school planning one. And they'll be interspersed throughout. I'm not doing them all the first week in May. They'll just be interspersed throughout so that you have the tools that you need, for sure. Okay, so you're taking it from this then, what to do each week. Then you're breaking it into weekly. So we have 2 pages per week in this year's journal. Last year's journal only has 1 page, so you have to write smaller. But if you're printing it out, then you can print out more pages. It's not a big deal. So this is where you write everything down. So I will write down, so this has got daily plans for, and then the child's name, the week of, what handwork you're going to be doing, what your foreign language goals are. And then I also have a place that's this week's goals. You're not going to fill that out right now. You're not going to fill that out when you're working through month 4. You're going to fill that out the Sunday or the Monday before the next week. Like, I like to do, when I'm thinking about my kids every week, I go, all right, we really struggled with X, Y, and Z last week. How do we not struggle with that this week? And so that's our goal for the week. It's my goal to pay more attention maybe and observe the child more, or maybe we let too much media in last week. And so I'm like, this week is a complete media fast. So I might write that in here. I might write in, one of our goals is to make sure that we are all getting in bed on time, because I've noticed that everybody's sleep is kind of lacking a little bit. So when you put this week's goals, because there's a section for that, you don't fill that out until right before you teach that week. So that stays blank. I have a place in here for music lessons. Those of you who are thinking of Feeling Willing members, and if you're not, you can go and purchase this from Kimberly over at Hearth and Home. Yeah. It's the Music Unfolds curriculum. She recommends that you sing before you play. So that's what we do. I'll have a list of 2 songs that we're singing, and then a song that we're singing and playing. And then I also added a reflection piece. Reflecting is immensely important. So once you've done all of this that you've written down, at the end of the week, on Friday, sit down, or on Saturday morning, sit down and write, how did it go? Because what happens then, if you don't do this part, it affects, like, if you had a bad week, it affects the weeks that are coming. So you want to have a chance to sum it all up, tighten things up, and feel good then about going into next week. So you want to make sure that you're taking that time each week. It doesn't have to be a lot of time because you've done all this part of work. So then you're just reviewing what you need to teach the next week. And then you're summing up what happened last week. Those are the things that I see people not doing are the reflection and the review. That's when you get into trouble, when you don't take that time to step back and, because when you come to me, this is the first thing I'm going to ask. Reflect on what's happened the last month. Reflect on how school is going. How's everybody eating? How's everybody sleeping? Those are the questions I ask. In fact, I give you a blueprint in the back here. So let's see, that was all of month 4. So month 5 is like September and beyond. So there's a blueprint in the back. These are the questions I ask you. When you're struggling, you ask for a consult. Before we even get on the phone, I say, talk to me about recent outbursts and what the topics were. Talk to me about your eating habits. Talk to me about how they're sleeping. And talk to me about their academic struggles. Because understanding those tells me so much. Often what happens, because I don't get on the phone with somebody until I ask these questions, at the end of the email, they're like, wait a minute, I think I figured it out. I don't think we need to get on the phone because you did the work. Okay, I have a question over here. My order planning for Peace Friday, will it be the new version? Yeah, all of the ones that are up are all the new versions. The page that has it, don't order it on the current site. I'm gonna put the new link in. So we're transitioning sites, and I know y'all might be thinking, lady, could you stop jumping around so much? I had to do some things because our other site was not doing what they promised. And so I really quickly rebuilt Thinking, Feeling, Willing a couple weeks ago, and now I'm rebuilding piece by piece. And one of these days you're gonna go to waldorfessentials.com and it's gonna be the new pretty site. But yes, it's me, Monica. There will be a link here in Instagram when I'm done today where you can go and buy it. I did not do that last night. I went to bed. That's what I forgot. Okay, let's see. There's also a mid-year evaluation. I always recommend that you do an evaluation like mid-year. So for people that do a September to May school year, that's about December. So in about the Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, that I try to take that last week and I evaluate where we are. Because nobody does anything in December. You try. I always try to do something in December, but it's never going to be like generally like major academic. It's a lot of play in December. So I try to take that last bit of November and then sometime in December and evaluate where we are. And then in January, we're hitting the ground running again. Those mid-year evaluations are super important. And then we also do an end of the year evaluation. So all of those evaluation forms are in here. The other thing that's in here, you're welcome, is an attendance form. For those of you who have to keep track of attendance form. And then there's also a transcript form. So you can keep track of your child's progress. So you might be thinking, I don't have to worry about transcripts until high school. I understand. The reason why I started doing it with my younger kids is because we were in situations like in karate, they were like, well, if you're an A student, and I thought, excuse me, we're homeschoolers, we work until it's an A. And so there are situations where you might need to show a transcript or a report card to somebody in order to get somewhere else. And so that's why we started doing it for the younger kids. It also is really helpful for me to see what they've done and what they've gone through. Okay, now I want to show you what I do with mine. This one is mine. This one is mine. So this is the grades only version. You notice I have post-it flags. These babies right here. I put flags on the rhythm section, the evaluation section, our full year section, and then I put one for Sam's blocks, one for Sarai's blocks, and one for festivals. I also really like washi tape. I like this one on Amazon. You can, if you're on Instagram, it's in our links. Or an Amazon affiliate. This is in that. It should be in there under things we like. I like this because it's a lot of colors. You can see the ones I use the most, the orange and the pink. And sorry, I stole my yellow. But I like it because this is what I do. I color code everybody. So all of the orange pages are Sam. All the pink pages are Soraya. That way when I'm using it throughout the year, it's really easy for me to jump in. The rainbow pages are things that have to do with everybody, like the whole family, like festivals is something that's for everybody, or the full year planning is something that's for everybody. So I try to do that, and then I have a tab at the top for where we are right now. So this would be like the lessons we're on right now, and the same with Soraya's. So that allows you to then just flip it open. What's lovely is when you are really good at planning and you have sick days, you know where you have to catch up. It's not a big deal. That's another reason why I say take every 10th day off, because something is going to happen. And then if you have every 10th day planned in there to take off, then it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. You just go, okay, well, we were sick this week, so we're not taking next Tuesday off. It's very easy. You don't fall behind that way. You don't feel like you're grasping. It all comes together. So I have some prizes for everybody who orders the 2019 version. Between now and Friday, you will get also the grade curriculum of your choice, not kindergarten. Here's the reason why. Kindergarten already has a Planning for Peace journal in it. It's part of kindergarten. So anybody who orders between now and Friday will get a digital copy of the grade that they want for this year. So first grade, first through 9th. And the first 10 people who order are gonna get a present from me in the mail. And this is gonna be your present. Some Post-it flags, some pens, some markers. These are the ones that I usually use, and some tea. So if you like prizes, that's it, and it'll come in this cute bag. So that's, I think, it. Does anybody have any questions? Do you have any questions over there?
Nope.
All right. I hope that this was informative. I hope that you dropped the link in there, right?
Kelly.
Okay, Kelly dropped the link. I will make sure that the link is up on the our bio here in the next few minutes. So on Instagram, if you have any questions, shoot me a DM or PM if you're on Facebook, or just a message if you're on watching this on YouTube later. And don't be afraid to ask. I am always, even though I yelled, sorry, I'm just really passionate about planning. I'm passionate about it because I see how upset you guys get when you don't. And when you're trying to figure out, why is this not working? Maybe I'm just not cut out for Waldorf. Maybe this just isn't what my family needs. What this method teaches you is how to look at the child that's in front of you. So this, if you do it my way, I promise you're gonna have tremendous success. And you won't be asking those questions anymore. You will go, where has this been my whole life? Which is usually what people say to me. Holy crap, I can't believe that what's this easy? Because you have it all together. You have it all together. So with that, I think we're going to be done. And I hope you guys all have a great week. And we're good over there?
We're good over here.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend. And let's see. Simple Life in the City says, any idea on how long it would take to get a hard copy to Canada? Our publishers worldwide, and they always surprise me, people in Canada generally get it quicker than people in the US. So it won't take very long. I will post both the link for the hard copy and the link for the digital. When you order the hard copy, make sure you send me your receipt after so that I can hook you up with the digital stuff. Okay, see y'all later. If you have questions, let me know. Bye.